You might think Sprunki is just a cute rhythm game, but it's hiding a dark secret. What happened to everyone in Sprunki? And why did some of them remain unharmed? And what's going on with Simon's face? I found the answers to this in every hidden, horrifying secret in Sprunki. Let's start off with the basics. What is Sprunki? Well, it's a mod for the game Incrediblocks. It's a music game where you can select different variations of sounds and beats so you can make music. You start with 8 different polos and place different hats on them. And then they turn into different characters that make their own unique sounds. It's a seemingly harmless game where you can make incredible music, right? See? You can choose 8 elements from a list of 20 sounds, which includes 5 different effects, beats, melodies, and vocals. However, when you choose the last one, something terrible happens and the game totally transforms into horror mode. In this mode, these jolly, fun, cute little buddies turn into absolute nightmare fuel, revealing the aftermath of some tragedy that left them either injured, insane, or forever changed. And each character has their own unique story, starting with Orion. Orion, the orange character who makes this sound. He's not only the first character, but the first beat as well, so luckily we know a lot about him. He's a Fortnite playing skateboarder who loves bunnies so much, he started dating one. It's also said his design is based on Disco Bear from Happy Tree Friends. Let's take a look at that. Oh, okay, yeah, I could see a resemblance, especially in this photo, but I'm not entirely sure. However, he becomes a lot less chill in horror mode. In horror mode, his drum beat is replaced by this sound, which sounds like a heartbeat. His horror form is super spooky. His injuries seem to be a reference to a really mean Viking torture technique. Ew, no, wait, never mind, that's too gross for me. Moving on. What's even spookier is while Orion's fate seems super tragic, he wasn't even the most brutal. That trophy belongs to Ratty. Let's talk about Ratty. Next, we have our red character, Ratty, the second character in the second beat. Listen. Ratty is a hothead. He's always angry and sometimes even bullies the other Sprunkies. In fact, he's supposedly the reason why this guy is so cuckoo. His look is based on a character named Fuse in the children's show Oddbods. Take a look. I could definitely see it. Like, look at the little spikes at the top of his head. He's up to no good. We can tell. But I'm gonna be honest, this show looks like there's a couple characters that have been influenced. This seems to be a big inspiration for other character designs as well. See, we have the bright colors, the little dingle hoppers on the top of their head. I don't know what to call them. But you see what I'm talking about? Even it says red, hot-headed. It's the little thingies on their head that really seals the deal. And then their one primary color, their personalities kind of match what happens in Sprunki. So definitely some inspiration was taken from this. No one really knows what happened to Ratty in horror mode, but whatever it was bad. In horror mode, Ratty has the most brutal death. Half of his face is missing and the lower half of his body is completely gone. I get that he was mean, but did he really deserve that? What do you think happened to him? Let me know in the comments. Which takes us to the third character, Kluker. This chill silver dude is rocking a symbol on his head, which makes him sound like this. He's also got an antenna sticking up, which is built into his spine. And he doesn't just look like a robot. He's pretty good at building them too. And he even built some of the characters we see later. But in horror mode, it seems someone pressed his symbol down too far, making him sound like this. What's even weirder is that we can see that he doesn't have a brain. Did something eat it before they died? Maybe they stole it because they needed it to build more robots, like the next one on our list. After Kluker comes Funbot, the fourth character and beat. He was one of the robots built by Kluker alongside Gjarnold, who we will meet later. His design actually combines elements of both of them, and he makes a funky beat that sounds like this. But what's crazy about him is what happens to him in horror mode. He's the only beat that actually survives. That said, he is by no means the only survivor. Plenty of other characters make it out unscathed, but clearly his mood is affected. His smile flipped upside down, as you can see here, and his beat changed too. So why is Funbot so sad if he made it out alive? Does he know what happened? Why doesn't he say anything like the other computers? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. That takes us to our 5th character in the final beat on the list. The green Sprunki, Vineria. She's the green thumb of the group and loves gardening, nature, and wildlife. She smells like flowers and has a very chill vibe. Here's what she sounds like. Of course, in horror mode, her vibe is totally thrown off. It looks like one of her plants has grown inside her and pushed out her eyeballs, making her look like a slug. And now she makes this sound. She also loses her wig, so we can see her real brown hair underneath. But how did this happen to her? Did she do it to herself by accident? Let me know what you think in the comments. As mentioned earlier, each musical section contains only 5 Sprunki. So with the first 5 covered, that takes care of all of the beats. Now let's dive into the effects, starting with Gray. Gray is our first effect and the 6th character in the Sprunkiverse. Gray is, of course, gray, and not silver like Kluger. He also seems to be a cat, or at least cat-like, since he shares a lot of traits similar to Wanda, who we'll meet later. Here's what he sounds like. And if he's giving off main character energy, then you're reading him right. Nyanko, the creator of Sprunki, has confirmed it himself that Gray is indeed the main character. Like Funbot, he is one of the few that lives in horror mode, but he's clearly pretty disturbed by what's happened. He wasn't changed into some horrifying monster either. Even his sound remains similar. So what happened to him and how did he survive? And why is he the same color as the other empty poles? What makes him the main character? Well, we have some answers to that at the very end, so stay tuned. After Gray comes Brud, the lovable, silly one of the group. Remember Noob1234, our most intelligent friend? That's pretty much Brud. He loves dirt and wears a bucket on his head to hide his big ol' alfalfa hair. He's not the brightest and can't speak in full sentences. He became a fan favorite after one of his photos from the gallery became a meme. I mean, look at it, we can all relate. We've all felt like this before, right? He's got a cool effect too. Check it out. But tragically, this all changes when things switch over to horror mode. Not only has he lost his bucket, but he looks like he's lost an entire chunk of his head. His effects changed as well. Supposedly, someone took a bite out of him because they thought he was chocolate, which we'll talk more about later. Drop a bucket in the chat for Brud. As sad as Brud's fate is, I have a theory that the next one is even worse. A FNAF theory. The next effect on our list and the 8th character on the roster is Gjarnold. He's a cool robo-bro and helped Kluger build Funbot and Mr. Fun Computer. He's wearing a visor that glows when he plays. Watch. He was buddies with Simon and Orion before everything went south. He also has expert level knowledge of FNAF lore, which comes back to haunt him later in horror mode. We can see his eyes underneath and that his head is leaking a bit. Ugh, this is because his suit spring locked him in, just like the horrible spring lock suits in FNAF. His sound has changed a bit too, and now he sounds like this. He's also one of the only characters that doesn't have any eyebrows, alongside our next character, who, this is gonna be a mouthful. Owakix, have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. He's also known as Lime. He's the 9th character in the 4th effect on our list. He's a little bit wacko and a bit all over the place, but this is what he typically sounds like. He's the only character with an entirely uppercase name, the opposite of Brud, who's all lowercase. Things don't look too good for him in horror form, where he's missing most of his skin. And even worse, he sounds like this. He may be weird, but he certainly did not deserve this. As tragic as Lime's story may be, number 10 is the most tragic. Sky is the 10th character in the final effect in the mod. Sky is confirmed to be the youngest Sprunki and is only 14 years old. His design inspiration is a mix of Grumpy Bear from Care Bears and another character from Oddbods. Take a look. This is Grumpy Bear, who's honestly like pretty dang cute. And then this guy. They definitely got the Sky color down. Just like his Care Bear inspiration, he makes teddy bears, but he's not really cringe about it. You can see he's super chill, just like his effect. All of this makes his horror form even more tragic. In horror mode, his face has been skewered by 3 spears. One is even going through his eye. In horror mode, his effect turns into a super creepy lullaby, too. This guy just wanted to make teddy bears. But at least you can get like Chuckles or Eloise on premerch.com. Okay, we'll make it up to Sky. This is by far the most tragic of deaths. And by now you have to be wondering, is this all because of Black? Which is a great question, because from what we can tell, the melodies definitely helped him, which are exactly who we're going to talk about next. The first melody in the 11th character is Mr. Sun, a happy, cheery, smiley face sun, just like the one from the Teletubbies or even the one from Amazing Digital Circus. Remember?
Hi, Kane! I'm gonna kill you!
What?
He has a cheery melody in happy mode. But in horror mode, he gets much creepier and becomes an eye. And he makes this sound. The eye not only allows him to blend in with the rest of the sky, but it also could be a reference to this, the Eye of Sauron, which is from Lord of the Rings. I mean, look at it. It does look very similar. Does Black have the same power? And Mr. Sun isn't the only one who's giving fantasy up in this group, because the next melody is a literal dragon. That's right, Durple the Purple Dragon is not only the coolest named character of the group, but also the 12th character in second melody. Like a dragon, he likes collecting shiny things. Durple enjoys collecting items, especially trumpets, which really helps us understand his sound. Like many other characters, he's also inspired by Oddbots, specifically Jeff. Unfortunately, his horror mode starts to show us how everyone else got so messed up, as he's one of the first possessed Sprunki. In horror mode, he has a super creepy face that looks a lot like Catnap from Poppy Playtime. And he's also made a major change to his tune. Obviously, his jaw is the creepiest part. Did he eat one of the others? Maybe Ratty? We know he didn't eat Brud because that was actually Simon, one of the other melodies. But before we get into Simon, we have to talk about Mr. Tree first. Mr. Tree is our lucky 13th character and our third melody. He's a vibrant, cartoonish tree that looks a lot like the Wispy Woods in Kirby. They're practically identical, except Mr. Tree looks a little happier than that. He's also over 50 years old, which makes him kind of like the Great Deku Tree from The Legend of Zelda. And of course, he sings a very happy song. But that also changes in horror mode. Not only does his tune change to this, but he also remains completely still with a poster of a missing child on his trunk. Turns out the child on the poster was reported missing on the day of the release. But the creator did confirm that this missing person is not a real person. But that doesn't make any sense. How can someone who isn't real go missing? How can they be reported missing if they didn't even exist? Let me know what you think in the comments. As scary as all this is, Mr. Tree is one of the few melodies who didn't become possessed. But the same cannot be said for the next character on our list. Simon is by far one of the creepiest of all the Sprunki. By day, he seems just like a normal dude, right? He loves chocolate, hanging out with Orion, playing Fortnite, and sounds like this. But like Durple, he also becomes possessed, which we can see in horror mode. Not only are his eyes gone, but his mouth is completely huge. Supposedly, his love for chocolate is what caused him to take a bite out of Brud, and it's actually one of the few moments we have on camera. Oh, I'm scared. This is so real feeling. Sprunki tapes. Hi. Why is it telling us hello? I started these tapes because our world is infected. We don't know what kind of illness is this. Simon was infected the first. There you can see how Sprunki gets infected. Ooh, it's like slowly happening. Day 3 was by far the most aggressive. This thing already killed one of us. Whoa. Oh, this is terrifying. We're running in a forest? Why are we in a forest right now? Something's definitely gonna jump scare us. You can't run, Brud. This is when he gets bit, 100%. Brud, run. Try to run. Brud says, please. I don't want to die. Brud, we love you. We don't want you to die either. Stop it. Don't bite him. Brud says, who are you? I'm Simon. Wah, ha, ha. Simon, we were friends. What kind of monster are you? This poor little innocent guy. I'm not a monster. I just had to do this. You don't have to do anything like this. Bro! He just said sorry and then bites his head off? Oh my gosh. Well, he didn't taste like chocolate, did he, Simon? Knowing what Simon did to Brud makes his creepy smile so much worse. And kind of makes me feel sorry for him in a way. It makes his sound all the more creepy too. It kind of makes you wonder, was there like nobody around to stop these crazy infected people? Where's the FNAF security guard when you need one? Why didn't someone grab a grab pack and start fighting back? Well, one person did, but it did not work out so well for him. You see Tunner, the 15th character in Final Melody who tried to be the hero. He was the sheriff, if you can't tell from his fancy sheriff hat. And as any good sheriff, he loved westerns. He's gotta be Texan. I'm just telling you. His melodies were whistles. Yeah, that's definitely a Texan. And just like any classy cowboy, he had a revolver. However, that comes back to bite him when we go into horror mode. Here we can see that his revolver has backfired. But does it help his whistling at least? One of his other models showed that there was a bump on the back of his head, but it's actually hidden by his hat. Yeah. Let's keep that sheriff hat on. That's a little creepy. It seems like someone snuck up behind him, knocked him out, and then used his own revolver against him. But that's just a theory, a brief theory. And this takes us to the final and most creepy category, the vocals. The first of our vocals is the 16th character, Mr. Fun Computer. As we said before, he was one of the fun computers invented by Kluker and Giarno. In the happy mode, he's one of the brightest and cheeriest characters, and his song is super cute. Listen.
Hello. Would you like to have some fun?
His full lyrics cannot be shown on screen.
Sing along with us in this fun time.
The words "with us right now" and "let's sing along with us in this" were replaced by the smiling face and notes. His super happy and cheery demeanor makes him flip even more in horror mode. All the more dark, but even the most telling. Here is his full animation. It's kind of creepy, but also kind of a bop. It also goes with everything. But it also tells us a lot as well. At least Mr. Funbot, everyone here is dead, even the characters that are actually alive. What could that mean? Let me know what you think. While Mr. Funbot is super spooky, he's at least not possessed, which can't be said for our next character. Winda is the next set of vocals on our list. She's a white cat who says, "hey," but like this. She's a white cat who's also become a bit of a meme. Can we have the bucket meme from Brud and her just side by side? I love this. In horror mode, we find she's one of the few possessed ones looking to do some bidding, and her sound has become pretty haunting. It was said that she was the one who shot Sheriff Tunner. And in this analog horror tape, we see another one of her victims. These tapes are so scary. I don't want something bad to happen to Purple Durple. Why my fate looks like that. People who I loved gone. The closest to me, a white cat. She's a killer. I cannot believe what is happening. Her movements, I'll never forget. Winda hit Pinky with a brick. I don't know if she's alive, but my hopes are high. Hi, Pinky. You look great. She's great, right? No. Oh my gosh, the brick is right there. No! I tried to find her, but I regret this. Durple. We're back in the woods at dark. Oh my gosh. Run. Run! Winda's back there. Are you surviving? Oh, we're in the grass? I hidden in the grass. He didn't notice me, so I can continue my video diary. Her victim is none other than Orion's girlfriend, who happens to be next on the list. Pinky is obviously the cutest and best dressed of all the Sprunki. I mean, look at her. She's adorable. She uses her choir voice as her sound. She's Orion's girlfriend and is said to be the nicest of the Sprunkies. Her injury is specifically a reference to Happy Tree Friends, specifically what happens to Giggles in an episode called Ice Cold Lemonade. I see the reference. Honestly, this is almost the exact same thing as Sprunki. As scary as she looks, it's honestly super sad. I hope she gets a cute little makeover. Luckily, it hasn't affected her vocals too much though. But Pinky isn't the only choir in our vocals. She's joined by the next character on our list. Jevin is the blue Sprunki, and the last of the Sprunkies who aren't death incarnate, and probably the most mysterious too. He's in some kind of cult that knows about Black, but he's been confirmed that he's 100% a good guy. He's also special in the fact that he's one of the few characters to remain unscathed in horror mode. The only thing that's really affected is his sound. This is what he sounds like normally. And here's what he sounds like after. He also has a much more intense expression on his face. What does he know? Did he summon Black? That couldn't be possible if he's a good guy, right? Unless Black was good. Luckily, he's the final name on our list. Black is the final Sprunki and the only entity that turns the game into horror mode. Who makes this sound? He seems to take heavy inspiration from Babadook. Look at this, very similar vibe. It's a movie about an imaginary monster who controls people and makes them do horrible things, which seems to be exactly who Black is. He is also confirmed to hate brain rot and content farms, and then sometimes just randomly breaks character and acts like a kind grandpa. Nyonko said he was messed up from the start, which is why you can't start with him. Nyonko has also said he can shapeshift, which makes him even more like Babadook. But it's also important to remember that Babadook is an imaginary character, so he can never be killed. Is Black the same way? What really happened here? Well, I have a few ideas. So what actually happened? Well, most think Black possessed Simon, Durple, and Gwenda to kill the others. The most common theory is that Gray survived because he hid, but I have a better idea. He is the main character after all. So what if Black is a figment of Gray's imagination? Or worse, what if normal mode is the hallucination and horror mode is the real world? Either way, it's clear that Gray is the central point here. And it all has to do with what we start with, the empty polos. The empty polo is a Sprunki that serves as its base when there's no active character on it. See? He looks just thrilled, doesn't he? There he is normal, there he is in horror mode. Ooh. But let's think about it. What color are they? Gray, just like our boy, and just like Gwenda in horror mode. The empty polo is an empty mind gray Sprunki that turns white when a character is selected on it. It is the same color as Gray. In horror mode, the empty polo is characterized by heavy shading and features. Open, aware eyes that don't blink. Maybe all these empty polos are Gray. Maybe he has multiple personalities and Black is his own specific destructive tendency just running wild. Or maybe I've just been on the internet too long today. However, there are actually many secret characters that most people don't even know about. There are 17 bonus characters that can only be unlocked during the official release of the mod, all of which are unofficial. All the bonus characters are cameos or references to the official Incrediblocks or other Incrediblocks mods, like Setbox V3. However, the only exception to this is Lario, whose polo and icon originate from Pizza Tower. Why is that kind of like wholesome and creepy looking at the same time? And there are even a few hidden exclusively in the gallery. The 3 characters that never made it into the game are Mard, Locke, and Moss, but they did make it into the game's official gallery. Take a look at these 3. They're cute, right? But that's every secret I could find this time. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Any details you think we missed? Please put them in the comments and please click one of the next videos before this one disappears.